what we thought we would do today, and again, thank you all for being here, because we have an extraordinary announcement that we're going to make today. But before I talk about that announcement, I really thought it would be helpful to share with you a little story, to give you a little bit of background on why we're doing Empowering a Billion Women by 2020, why it matters so much, and how we're doing that. And then we're going to go into this announcement, and I've brought some very, very special people who are going to come up on stage with me as well and share a few things with you as we start wrapping up. Does that sound good? All right, all right. Okay, so what we'll do, cover a little background, we're going to talk about some lessons learned, and then we're going to do an announcement. And just so you all know, the timer is not on. Thank you. Because I'll sit here and talk with you all day. Yeah, we'll have a conversation all day. All right, so to get us going, empowering a billion women by 2020. Why are we doing this, right? Where does all of this come from? I am going to admit to you that as a lifelong technology entrepreneur, as a woman entrepreneur, I was so often the only woman in the room. I'm sure, raise your hand if you can relate to this. Yep, many, many hands. At the time I started first building my technology companies, there just were not other women that were building tech companies. And oftentimes, it was pretty challenging to get support for the business. And I'm going to share with you one story around that. But where I'll fast forwarded is back in 2010, 2011, I was on a dirt road in Dallas, Texas. I had just been running 2 green energy companies that we sold. And I literally was driving down the road, and I have to say I'm a spiritual person because it explains a lot about the way that we approach doing things. And I actually started praying. And I said, dear God, what does all this mean? What does building these companies mean that I've been doing for many, many years? I'm a former business television host with CNBC. I've had some companies that have done really well, and then some companies that failed miserably. In fact, I often like to say and share very transparently that one of them failed so badly that at one point in my life, I lost everything and I was broke and homeless. And I say that because I think as a woman entrepreneur, we so often work so hard to climb the ladder and be up there and earn our position to run these companies. And most recently, I was the entrepreneur in residence for Dell. I was running a $100 million fund. We built a $1 billion business. And when you look at that from the outside, I don't know about you, but I know I wish when I was building my companies that if there was a woman who stood up and said, yep, it looks like all that on the outside, but on that journey to get there, at one point I lost it all and became broken homeless. And had it not been for the women and the men around me who were saying, you know what, Ingrid, you can rebuild, you can do this. You can build again. You can build another successful venture. Had it not been for them, I don't know if I would have been here today, right? But I look at where I am today, and I look at the career path that I've had. And back in 2010, 2011, I was on that dirt road, and I started praying. What does all this mean? Why have I had the great success, and then why have I had things like being broken homeless? What does this mean? And I heard very clearly it was time to dedicate my life to fundamentally empowering a billion women by 2020. And after I got over the initial shock of, oh my gosh, what exactly does that even mean? How does one person reach 1/7 of the world's population? Why do we need to do this? After I got over that initial shock and asked myself the question, instead of doing what a lot of women do, and I certainly have done this in my career, telling myself, that is impossible. That is a ridiculous dream. It's impossible to make that happen. Instead of doing that, I took the deep breath and said, well, how does one person take a global vision and make that happen? You look at Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. Carlos, so good to see so many friends in the audience. Thank you for being here. But how does one person build a global corporation? How does that happen? How do you surround yourself with the people and resources to make these things happen? And I knew very quickly then that it was time for me to start looking at partnerships. Who were going to be the partnerships that would enable me to build at scale in a relatively short period of time? And the next slide, I'll show you that. But before I go there, I just want to highlight one thing, and you guys have already seen this now. But why does this matter? Why does it matter? It matters because we believe at Empowering 1 Billion Women by 2020, if we are fundamentally going to create a global sustainable future, it is going to happen through a new set of eyes. And that is the eyes of women. And for all the amazing men who are sitting here in the audience, thank you, because I'm here to also say that for women, for us to elevate to our fullest potential, the only way that's going to happen is doing it in collaboration with the guys. So if I can actually pause for a moment and just do a round of applause for all the guys. I'm looking around, I'm like, I think this is the most guys that have ever been in an audience of a presentation. Yeah, thank you. Okay, but why does this matter? Why does this matter, okay? The reason that it matters is because women, we are so darn excited and grateful when we get the opportunity to build a venture. It doesn't matter if it's a little venture, it doesn't matter if it's a big venture. We are so grateful, we are so appreciative, we are so ready to bust through walls to make this happen that we are gonna do whatever it takes to build successful companies. And that translates into money for you and for the economy. When we are funded, we tend to drive 35% higher return on investment. When we are venture-backed, we tend to bring in 12% higher revenue. And the stat that I absolutely love is this one, that whether you are somebody that is trying to rub two pennies together or you've made millions and millions and millions of dollars, when women start making money, we reinvest 90% of what we earn back into our families, our communities, and ultimately the world. And I can tell you my husband will attest to this, to the truth of that. It's like, stop all that investing. We've done enough. Got to keep going. All right, so Empowering 1 Billion Women, as I had that dirt road experience and what are we going to do there, how are we going to reach this billion women around the world, it became very clear to me, as I said, it was only going to happen through partnerships and it was only going to happen through technology. And the original vision of the company, which stands true today, it's actually how we give back through our foundation, is we'll reach the billion women through mobile devices. It was that simple. Let's use mobile devices to build a platform to connect with 1 billion women around the world, to provide them access to the tools, technology, and resources that they need to succeed as leaders and entrepreneurs. And what was that going to be? It was basically we were building out the platform that all of us at Empowering 1 Billion Women wish we would have had when we were building our ventures. It was that how do we create systems that we could scale, software and services that we could scale that would be this always-on mentor to help us know how do we build these ventures successfully, right? That, how many of you know that guy? A few of you? Does everybody know who that is up on the screen? A few people. That led to a conversation right here in Austin, Texas, with a guy named Michael Dell and a gentleman named Steve Felice. And ladies, but the guys too, I want to tell you this. When I finally owned the opportunity of building Empowering 1 Billion Women by 2020, that we were only going to do it through partnerships, that I needed a global technology partner. My entire life had been spent as a technology entrepreneur. I was like, how am I going to get somebody like a Dell to partner with me to build out this crazy vision? How am I going to make that happen?